Why does it feel so strange?
You're not shooting the bullet. You're catching it.
What if an action movie turned out to be gateway to one of the most mysterious laws of physics?
Is entropy runs backwards, so to our eyes its movement is reversed.
Beyond the scene with the red and blue room in Tenet lies the concept of entropy, thermodynamics, and even antimatter theory. This movie isn't just a spy thriller, it's an experiment with time, energy, and the very direction of the universe. Let's break down the crazy sides that make the idea of time moving backward feel possible.
Technology that can invert an object's entropy.
So the second law is all about entropy increasing, which is just a technical way of saying that things get worse.
For those of you who have already seen it, this might just be the most unforgettable scene. It's not easy to fully grasp what's happening in that room. We see two spaces split in different color, one red, one blue. You're supposed to realize that these colors are a code. Red represents time moving normally, while blue represents time moving in reverse. That's why Saturn wave wears red, to show us that only Saturn is inverted in that room, not her.
Telling the truth, she dies.
Don't!
In fact, we encounter this red-blue code in our daily life. Red for hot, blue for cold. But what does hot and cold have to do with the time moving forward or backward? If you remember your school lesson about the heat or the law of thermodynamics, you're probably familiar with the term entropy. The movie mentioned this several times.
Its entropy runs backwards, so to our eyes its movement is reversed.
Technology that can invert an object's entropy.
As they invert the entropy of more and more objects to the two directions of time.
So, what is entropy? When you mix hot water and cold water in the same glass, do they stay separate? Of course not. Over time, without stirring, they blend the warm water. In simple terms, heat always flows toward cold. That's what we learned in school. But thermodynamics is deeper than just temperature. Inside the water, molecules shift from an ordered state to a random one until everything balances out. It's as if every molecule has a mind of its own, spreading out randomly, resisting order. This level of disorder is what physics call entropy. And here's the law. The entropy of any system always increases with time. In simpler words, everything in this world becomes more disordered over time. An apple rot is left alone. A house gathers more and more just as it abounded. A shattered glass will never put itself back together. This law applies to us too. We age and eventually we die. And someday, the universe will also come to an end. That's fate in scientific terms. In physics, this is called the second law of thermodynamics.
So the second law is all about entropy increasing, which is just a technical way of saying that things get worse.
Because this law can be followed through time, entropy is what gives time its role. It shows that time always moves forward and never backward, unless entropy itself could be reversed, and that's exactly the core idea of Tenet. But does reverse entropy actually have any scientific basis? Here's what you need to know. Everything I'm talking about here is based on theories, so there's no need to argue about whether it's real or not. What's important to know is that the physics you learn at school is not final. Scientists are still trying to solve the mysteries of the universe, including entropy. There's something fascinating that Neil mentioned in the movie.
You mean reverse chronology, like Feynman-Wheeler's notion of that?
Richard Feynman and John Wheeler, two legendary Nobel-winning physicists, made a controversial contribution to science, the concept of antimatter. Their theory suggests that, alongside the universe we live in, there exists a mirror world that is reversed. For those unfamiliar with physics, this may sound crazy, but if you study quantum theory and Einstein's relativity, the existence of antimatter becomes unavoidable. I've mentioned quantum theory before when discussing the Avengers time machine. To keep it simple, electron, the particle that make electricity possible, have a counterpart, the anti-electron, also called a positron.
And in principle, an anti-electron could form part of an anti-atom, and many anti-atoms could fit together to make an antimatter table, or even an anti-me.
John Wheeler, the scientist now referred to, proposed that a positron, an anti-electron, is essentially an electron moving backward through time.
Feynman-Wheeler's notion of a positron is an electron moving backwards in time.
Sure, that's exactly what I meant.
This was from an interview he gave before he passed away.
Then we discovered that if you have a particle going one way in time and then it turns around and comes backward in time, it behaves as if it had the opposite electric charge and was going in the normal way in time.
This could be one reason the name of his character Wheeler.
Wheeler, briefing.
You'll need your own air. Regular air won't pass through the membranes of inverted lungs.
As I understand it, we're trying to prevent World War III.
Here's another interesting fact. John Wheeler was part of the Manhattan Project,
You're familiar with the Manhattan Project?
the first nuclear weapon program. This was the project that enabled the United States to drop atomic bomb on Japan. Wheeler helped Oppenheimer, the project leader, design the nuclear reactor. That's why the movie also makes reference to that project.
As they approached the first atomic test, Oppenheimer became concerned that the detonation might produce a chain reaction, causing the world.
Tenet may feel talk heavy, but it's not just random dialogue. If you miss even a small detail or don't understand what they are saying, you'll have a hard time fully grasping the movie.
A terrorist bomb, even one that can kill millions, is nothing compared with what can happen if you don't stop soon.
And when it comes to time moving backward, every time travel movie runs into the same problem, the paradox. That's something I'll delve into the next video.
We're their ancestors. If they destroy us, won't that destroy them?
Let's bring us to the grandfather paradox.
The what?